Vallabha Girivanajari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanajari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanajari Gopijana Vallabha Girivanajari Suranandana Prahladananda His Divine Grace, Lacy, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Slava Zabrani Bhaktam, Slava Shri Gurui, Shri Gurangi, Mama Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane, Namaste, Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Vicharne, Nirvishesha, Srinivadi, Paskadya, Desadharana. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Udati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Piyuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakan Zvitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandho Dugapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishna Bhanu Siddhi Devi Pranamami Hri Priye Vanchakapa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktamrita Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 1, Questions by the Sages, Text number 8. Vedatvam Samya Tat Sarvam Tatvatastat Anugrahat Bruyo Snigdasya Shishyasya Gurava Guyam Apyuta Vegatvam Samya Tat Sarvam Tatvatastat Anugrahat Bruyo Snigdasya Shishyasya Gurave Guyam Apyutam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Ladies.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Ekhatvam Somya Tatsarvam.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Tatvatastanugrahat.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guru Snigdasya Shishtasya.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Guravo Guhyam Apyutam.
Veda. You're well conversant.
You are well conversant.
Tvam, your honor.
Your honor.
Somya, one who's pure and simple. Tat, those. Sarvam, all. Tatvataha, in fact. Tat, there. Anugrahat, by the favor of. Through you, will tell. Snigdasya, of one who is submissive. Shishtasya, of the disciple. Gurava, the spiritual master. Guyam, secret. Apyuta, endowed with. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Purport. The secret of success in spiritual life is in satisfying the spiritual master and thereby getting his sincere blessings. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has sung in his famous 8 stanzas on the spiritual master as follows. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Only by his satisfaction can one please the personality of Godhead. When he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual realization. It is essential, therefore, that a disciple be very much obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Srila Sutta Goswami fulfilled all these qualifications as a disciple, and therefore he was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual masters, such as Srila Vyasadeva and others. The sages of Naimisharanya were confident that Srila Sutta Goswami was bona fide, therefore they're anxious to hear from him. So the verse again, Veda tvam samya tat sarvam tat vitas tad anugrahat bruyu snigdasya shikshasya gurava guyam apyuta. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatyade Chakarane. This purport in the verse has all the same imports that famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. Everyone understands English? English? Good. I also understand English. And just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively. Where's our Nitya Seva?
I think she's cooking.
Okay. Anyone that speaks Spanish here? Espanol? Oh, can you translate for Govinda Dasi? She's over here.
I go to over there.
Yes, you can bring your chair. When I was speaking to Premakanda in English, he replied in Spanish, although he's from Ireland. It's the power of association. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul, or souls, can impart knowledge unto you, because they have seen the truth. And the purport of Srila Prabhupada says that the path of spiritual life is undoubtedly difficult. So if you're finding any difficulty, you're on the right path. If it's too easy, maybe you got off the path. The Lord therefore advises us to approach a spiritual master in the line of disciple succession from the Lord himself. The Lord is this original spiritual master, and one who's in the line of disciple succession can convey the same knowledge as the Lord himself. Dharmam tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. That blind following and absurd, Tarka apratishta shruti-abhibhina. Prabhupada summarizes that. That dry arguments and speculations cannot help one on the path, nor by reading different varieties of books. One has to receive the knowledge from the representative of Krishna. Satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret advancement in spiritual life. That inquiries and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Unless there is submission and service, inquiries from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. One has to be able to pass the test of the spiritual master, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses his disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. One should not only hear submissively, but one should get a clear understanding through submission, service, and inquiries. The spiritual master is by nature very kind to the disciple, so when the disciple is always submissive and is ready to render service, then the inquiries of knowledge and inquiries becomes perfect. Inquiries of knowledge become perfect. Resumish? We have two good helpers there. Pamosh. Actually, knowledge is very simple. The next verse, Krishna says, Yajgyatva na punyamaham evam yasti pandava yena bhutina sheshani drakshasyatmini atomi. When you actually learn the truth, then you'll learn that all of the entities are part of me, and that they're within me, and that they're mine. In other words, everyone is a representative of Krishna in one way or another. So this is very difficult for the conditioned soul to accept. Matter of fact, if everyone is eternally Krishna's servant, then there's no place for having my profit, adoration, distinction. I should be much humbler than I actually am. That as soon as the symptom of the fact that we haven't learned the truth is that we're still identified to one degree or another with either the gross body or the subtle one. And we can judge that if we're ever in anxiety. Material anxiety. There's also spiritual anxiety, but we may have to wait a little bit for that in some respects. Of course, if we're anxious to distribute books, we're anxious to please the spiritual master, we're anxious for prasadam, there's some element of spiritual anxiety there. But if we're anxious for our profit, we're anxious for our adoration, we're anxious for our false prestige or prestige, distinction, then this is a symptom that we haven't come to the truth yet. After all, if we realize who we were, just who we were, we realize that we're only 1/10,000th the size of tip of hair in size. And it's extremely difficult to become too proud when you're that size. You may think, well, I'm 1/10,000th the size of tip of hair in size, but my friend is only 1/2 of 1/10,000th the size of tip of hair. So I'm twice as big as they are. Bow down, soul. But the fact is that the process of spiritual realization is basically a process of learning how to reciprocate with all living entities on the spiritual platform. But that's really not possible for a conditioned soul to do that. And therefore there's a process of practice by which we can do it in a more slightly moderated way. That is, we can have an audience of devotees, at least aspiring devotees. Devotees who are interested in becoming Krishna conscious. They're devotees. And therefore in their association we can practice the 6 loving exchanges. Now to practice as Didati Pratigrinati Guyam Akiti Prichiti Bhunte Vojayate Chaiva Shadvidam Pratilakshana, offering gifts in charity. This does not mean Christmas, by the way. No. And the purport Prabhupada explains, the biggest gift, the most important gift, is to offer the holy name. Therefore, when we have our programs in the morning or in the evening, and we're chanting, then we're offering the holy name. Matter of fact, we say Hare Krišna, and the sound vibration spreads throughout the whole room, especially with the help of a microphone. But even without the microphone, most of us have good enough hearing. We can hear Hare Krišna. So It must, I mean, how many of us could spread throughout the room? Well, Krishna can. And we're sharing Krishna. He wasn't there, well, he was there before we said Hare Krishna, but he appeared to everyone when we say Hare Krishna. So we're offering that as a gift. What Krishna is, through us, is offering himself as a gift. It's in charity, because how much do we pay for a kirtan nowadays? Unless you go to a kirtan mela where you have to charge, they charge you something for the room and board. The holy name is usually free. It's offered in charity. Freely distributed. And accepting charitable gifts. The next thing is, when we hear our beautiful voice chanting and spreading the holy name everywhere, then we should also listen to others when they chant Hare Krishna and offer us in charity that gift to the holy name. Inquiring submissively. What about what? What's the weather? No, inquiring submissively means inquiring about how to advance in Krishna consciousness. Now, if I go up to a devotee and say, I dare you to tell me something about Krishna consciousness I haven't heard before. I've heard it all. Tell me how you became so unadvanced. No, we have to have some appreciation for another devotee. We have to see something positive. If we can't see anything positive, then we think the only thing positive in the room is me. So we have to have some appreciation, and then we can inquire from the devotees, how did you make that advancement? And we inquire submissively, and then follow what they say. If they say, well, I made such advancement in such and such a way, and then we say, that's impossible. Besides that, I would never do what you did. Then the inquiry was a waste of time. As I said before, one man asked Prabhupada, can you tell me something about Buddha? Submissive inquiry, apparently. And Prabhupada said, do you follow Buddha? And the man says, no. He said, well, why do you follow Buddha? Then you can come and inquire about it. Why this inquiry? You don't even follow him. In other words, we should inquire about things we're actually interested in doing something about. Blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. In other words, we should have inquiries, just like we come to class. What do you expect? We're going to tell you about the latest movie on television? Maybe the internet would be more appropriate, because most of us may not have a television, but we have our iPhone or something. The mood is generally inquisitive. Can you tell me something about, you expect something about Krishna that will help me advance in my relation with Krishna? Otherwise, what is Shravam Eva Hi Kevalam? We're wasting everyone's time. So gifts and charity, inquiring submissively, and revealing one's mind and confidence. We expect the speaker to say something, some realization about Krishna that usually you won't find out in the street. Here, of course, in the Western world, you say, can you tell me something about Krishna? And everyone will say, Krishna, who's Krishna? Oh yeah, I have a cousin named Krishna. But if you go to India and you ask someone, can you tell me something about Krishna? They'll tell you all kinds of crazy things about Krishna that you probably shouldn't have heard. So expect revealing when someone's going to reveal their mind and confidence of their experience of how they became Krishna conscious. Narada Muni will find out in the first canto. Sora Vyasadeva despondent. So he didn't go up to him and say, get serious about Krishna consciousness. Chant Hare Krishna. You're in Maya. No, he told him his life story, how he personally became Krishna conscious as a small boy, living with his mother, taking care of the Bhaktivedantas, the devotees during the rainy season, how he heard from them about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, how he took a little prasadam, and his heart became purified. Of course, we may wonder, I've been coming to this movement for so many years, I've been hearing from these devotees, I've taken a lot of prasadam. Yet my heart's not purified. Well, we can imagine the fortunate situation of Narada Muni. Now, if you tell people about the fortunate situation of Narada Muni, they'll think you're not only half mad, they'll think you're completely crazy. Go out in the street and say, here's a book. It's about the fortunate life of Narada Muni. Oh, really? What did he do? Well, he was a maidservant's son. He had no money. He had no education. He was a servant of some sages in a place where it was just raining all the time. He didn't have any electronic devices, no Facebook. And all he wanted to do is eat their remnants. And he just sat there and listened to them saying over and over, Krishna is great, Krishna is great, Krishna is great. He was very fortunate. And if you read this book, you'll become fortunate too. You might lose all your money. You may wind up in the forest like him, getting remnants from sages during a place where you can't even move because it's raining everywhere. Really? How much is the book? I want to buy it. But we consider Narada Muni fortunate because his heart was very easy, it was simple. He wasn't confused by a million different things he learned in school. He wasn't confused by all the opportunities to get knowledge in this material world through internet and find out about everything. Why grasshoppers jump so high. You can do your PhD on that nowadays. Write a 300-page dissertation on why grasshoppers jump. As a matter of fact, when I went to college, university, they were handing out grants, and someone got a grant for $90,000 at that time. I was in the psychology department. And $90,000 at that time would probably be $300,000 nowadays. And the grant was investigate why spiders build webs. And do you know what they discovered after spending $300,000? Guess what they discovered? That's right. You must have read the report. Ellos había una tesis en la universidad porque los moscas fabrican telas y ellos descubrieron después de gastar $90,000. La razón es porque ellos quieren capturar moscas. Arañas, creen telarañas, para que ellos creyeran capturar moscas. ¿Entiendes? Telarañas, arañas and telarañas. Put it away. So, this kind of knowledge is useless. But this is why in the modern society, people are simply being misled. They don't know what the purpose of life is and what to speak of how to achieve it. And if they learn about it at the wrong time, from the wrong source, they'll certainly be misled. But offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind and confidence, and acquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad. Now, we usually have no problem accepting prasad. We don't always offer it. But that's all right. Prabhupada says some people like to take prasadam, others like to distribute it. They're both good. Matter of fact, Srila Prabhupada was worried when he came to America whether when the people here would eat prasadam. Because generally people who are very big meat eaters, when they hear about vegetarian food, at least at that time, they make a face. They thought that vegetarian food was simply some rice. Because when I became a vegetarian, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't have any rice. I was just eating. One time I was just eating bananas and raisins for 3 months, and then I switched over to a microbiotic diet, carrots and brown rice. Anyhow, people think this is disgusting. So Prabhupada was worried because he had information when his godbrothers had gone to Burma. I forget, what is Burma now? Myanmar? No, Myanmar. When they went to Burma, they were set up a small center there, and they were making puris. And the smell of the puris, all the neighbors would complain. The smell of the puris was so disgusting to them. Because they had a preparation they had where they take all the dead animals from the village and put them into a pot. And then they put the pot on the roof. And in Myanmar now, the weather is very, very warm. The sun is very strong. So the sun would bake down on the pot of dead animals and turn them into liquid, dissolve them. I hope I'm not making you too hungry. Of course not. And then what they do is they'd siphon off the liquid when it was nice and liquidy, and they put it into bottles. And then on festive days, when they had their rice, they pour the liquid on top of the rice for a special treat. So naturally they thought that the smell of ghee was horrible. They complained everywhere, tried to shut the devotees down. But the smell of that preparation was sent them into heaven. So Prabhupada was worried when he came over, but then he rapidly discovered that devotees love prasadam, except for one devotee, Strayadish. Prabhupada couldn't get him to eat chapatis. So then Strayadish's mother came and said, unless you take care of Strayadish, because he's getting so thin, that I'll have to take him home. So Prabhupada said, I'll personally take care of him. So Prabhupada personally fed him chapatis and all the prasadam. And Strayadish started to eat more. First he ate a chapati, then he ate 3 chapatis, then 5, and then he got up to 25. And Prabhupada said, that's the limit. So, usually Prabhupada was very happy to discover that people in the Western world, they liked prasadam, especially when Prabhupada cooked it. And they liked when others cooked it too. It was nicely cooked. So these are the 6 loving exchanges, and this is part of becoming a Madhyama Adhikari, working on the Madhyama Adhikari platform. In other words, our Ishvara Tadadineshu Pulisesu Dvitsatsu Cha Prema Maitri Kripopeka Yat Karoti Samadhimaha. There's Ishvara, there's the Ishvara Tadadineshu Bulisheshu Dvitsatsu Cha. So there's the Ishvara, there's the Bhakta, there's the innocent Adineshu, and then there's the Dvitsatsu, the envious. So this is what we're trying to find out, how to understand who's on what level and how to properly deal with it. Now, I guess first of all we have to properly deal with the devotees, because if we don't properly deal with the devotees, it's very unlikely we'll know how to relate to the non-devotees. If we think the devotees are demons, then what will we think about the demons? And if we think the envious are saintly, are learned and scholarly, they know the true path to success in life, then we got it all mixed up. So we have to learn how to properly reciprocate with these different types of devotees. So that's an art. It's a science, as it says here. And it only can be accomplished by someone who's also aware of how to do it. Now, in our society, we can see, well, even when Prabhupada was here, it's not that everyone had a perfectly saintly relationship with all the other saints in the movement. I remember the 2 most prominent devotees in the movement at that time were a devotee named Gargamuni and Brahmananda. They were 2 brothers. And they joined in 26 Second Avenue, and I got to know them, well, in 26 Second Avenue also, but no, I didn't go down there so often. I only went there once because I was a student. But when I went back during the vacations, they had moved to 61 Second Avenue. And the devotees used to complain to Srila Prabhupada, because these were the 2 leaders in the temple, that they were fighting like cats and dogs. And so when Prabhupada heard that, he said, yes, they're like little puppies in a litter. They're just fighting with each other, like 2 little puppies in a litter. You know, a litter, a group of puppies together. Prabhupada didn't take it seriously. Still, we shouldn't even, well, we should fight, if we're going to fight, we should fight like puppies in a litter. So even when Prabhupada was here, it's not that everyone became a pure devotee just by Prabhupada's presence. But we have to learn this. And we have to learn it from Prabhupada, because Prabhupada, every relationship, every dealing that he had was appropriate. He knew when to be humble, he knew when to be strong, he knew when to be submissive. He knew he was a perfect instrument for Krishna, to help others become Krishna conscious. It wasn't that he had one mode of acting and he applied it everywhere. He read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And everywhere he went, he applied the teachings. No, he saw everyone perfectly. That everyone was Krishna's eternal servant. And because everyone was Krishna's eternal servant, he was also their servant. Because he was also Krishna's eternal servant. So that's what we have to learn. These loving reciprocations with the devotees on the basis that we're all part of Krishna's family. Unless we recognize Krishna, Acharyam eva harye pujam yakshadaye hete hita daneshu kaleshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. So even we're kanista adhikaris, we're just beginning devotees, we're here because we're in distress, and we heard that if you chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam, then you forget all your problems. All your sins are taken away. Like sometimes devotees want to take initiation, they think, at the time of initiation, my main offering is all my sins. Then we throw every grain I have in my hand, it represents some sinful activity, and I throw it into the fire, and it's transferred magically to the heart of the spiritual master, and I wish him well. Therefore, at the end of the sacrifice, I collect dakshin, and I pay it to the spiritual master, in case he needs to pay his hospital bill. That's all right. That's one conception of what the process is. But the fact is that we do, by the process, we do give up our sinful activities. Our heart does become pure to one degree or another. Because otherwise, how can we give up the sinful activity? How can we give up those 4 sinful activities? Illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, intoxication, and lying, speculation, untruthfulness. What? Gambling is untruthfulness. So how can we give up those sinful activities unless our heart had become purified that much? Otherwise it's impossible. Just ask a common person to come here and take initiation without chanting Hare Krishna. And if you see on this board, on this board here, these two pieces of paper, and we're surrounded by, and you read them. It has, Prabhupada says, that the 4 regular principles. In case you forget what they are when you make your vow, you can walk up there and they're right there. They're on the board. And Prabhupada, and then all these other regulations Prabhupada gave. But he didn't give them until after the first initiation. First, he gave them their beads, he gave them had them vow to chant 16 rounds, and then the next day he sent down these pieces of paper what the rules and regulations were. Well, we don't surprise you nowadays. And indeed, Prabhupada was just doing it because he needed some, assistance for the movement. So people appeared out of nowhere, and they said, "Would you like to take initiation?" They said, "Sure, why not? What is it?" And they sat in the initiation, and they got their beads, and they thought, "Well, this is pretty cool." And they got some name, they didn't know what it was, but they didn't understand. And then they disappeared, and no one ever saw them again. Or when Maladi Devidasi took initiation in San Francisco, I guess in 67 or something, and Prabhupada was saying at the end of the fire sacrifice, he said, bow down. And something about, something about saying the mantra or something. So that they didn't understand what Prabhupada was saying, so they thought Prabhupada was saying, bow down and blow into the fire. So everybody's bow down, we go. So, yes, the neophyte devotees, but they made some progress, and then we want nice, comfortable life, retirement somewhere in a big temple somewhere, there's a nice Sunday feast. And we can get together and talk about, our children, what the newest Krishna conscious movie was, Avatar 3. And then we can advance inquiry. Jignasa. So that's when people actually take these courses, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Somabhoma. And they know that when the Vishnu Dutas come and ask what you've done, you can show your certificate. They say, yes, you're qualified. Hop on board. Wait a second. Do you have Bhakti Sarvabhauma? It's only Bhakti Vedanta. We'll come back in a couple of years. But you're Jignasa, we understand. And the four Kumaras self-realized they were at the highest platform of a Kanistha Adhikari. If someone comes up to you and says, oh, you're just a Kanistha Adhikari, what level? Well, you think, well, you're just a Brahmin. Yeah. What about the four Kumaras? Yeah, they were also in Maya. The four Kumaras were in Maya until they met Lord Narayan. And then they were in Yogamaya afterwards. So, Kanistha Adhikari, up to the platform of the four Kumaras, is not an ordinary situation, an ordinary level of elevation of consciousness. But we have to, we're acting on the level of the four Kumaras in devotional service, trying to even act beyond that, acting as a Madhyama Adhikari, trying to love Krishna, trying to do our service, not with the idea of what Krishna is going to give us in return. No, we're doing it, trying to do it with a clear mind, trying to chant Hare Krishna and just chant and listen and not to get disturbed by what our mind's thinking. Because our mind is, well, if our mind spontaneously thinks about Krishna, that's very nice. But if it's not thinking about Krishna, it's thinking about all my troubles. Oh, help me, Krishna. He is my enemy. Krishna, kill him. And kill my other enemy too while you're at it. You have a little extra time. Or as we used to sing, give me a house, give me a wife, give me a color TV, or a house by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hari. Now, to love Krishna means just chant and listen and try to appreciate the sound of Krishna that we're chanting or anyone else is chanting. Then to make friends with the devotees appropriately, to learn the science of loving exchanges with the devotees and try to apply it to the best of our knowledge. Try to learn how to become skillful in our relationships. Not that we meet a devotee and he comes up, excuse me, Prabhu, no, don't ask me for any service, I'm not. What do you want from me? Go away. Who do you think you are? You joined two weeks before I did, after I did. No, we have to learn Yari Deka Tarika. Well, at least we have to learn how to properly serve the devotees. Then we can come to the platform of Yari Deka Tarika, Krishna Upadesha. Whoever we meet, we try to give them Krishna. Either going on in Harinam, chanting Hare Krishna, giving them books or prasadam, or anyone. Try to think, even with our parents, what can we do to help them become Krishna conscious? As I've said before, the relationship I had with my parents, I had to adjust to it after some years. And Krishna had me adjust in such a way that I didn't speak to them for around 7 years. But then after that, in other words, when I went home for my parents the first time, they didn't know no one knew it. This is 1969 or so, 1969. The movement wasn't very widespread at that time in America. In the temple, where I joined, there were 5 devotees or something, and that was considered a semi-Maha temple. So now I went home, I had a shaven head and some bed sheets on. We didn't have devotees, we had bed sheets. That's what we did. So I went home and my mother looked at me. I was going home for my sister's wedding, and she couldn't believe it. She didn't know what had happened. She said, "You can't be in here like that." So I said, "No problem," so I left. And then they met me at the bottom of the escalator, the elevator, and said, "No, you can be here. Only for your sister's wedding." So then it's like, all right. So I attended my sister's wedding. My relatives were quite interested in what had happened to me. So then I didn't speak to my parents for 7 years, and they called me up one day, and they asked for forgiveness. So then I had a relationship with them for decades after that. I go and visit them once or twice a year. And I just learned that the only topics that I could discuss with them were about health, because my mother was a health fanatic. So that's all we discussed. I just go home and I do my yoga exercises and do Tai Chi, and she loved it. And then even my father, I never told him anything about Krishna, but at the last time I saw my father, he left me off at the bus because I had to take a bus to get to the airport. And he hugged me and said, "Keep up the good work." Out of nowhere. And as I said before, my mother, she didn't believe in God, but she believed in good fairies. She knew the good fairies were watching out for her for some reason. So that went on, but then she wound up giving so much money to the movement. My parents gave a lot of money to the Hare Krišna movement. So undoubtedly she got a lot of benefit. And if I would have opened my mouth too much about Krishna, they wouldn't have been engaged, and it wouldn't have been very productive. So the point is, we have to know how to relate to people who are not devotees too, appropriately. And as far as the atheists, well, we have plenty of experience dealing with them. But we have to see that there are many people who, well, not many people, there's a lot of propaganda that Krishna doesn't exist. And we shouldn't, get too much involved with such association. A lot of it is on the internet, a lot of it is on the billboards. They're all declaring the only thing in life is sense gratification. Don't miss out. No matter what your age is. I remember at the airport, I was shocked because these people were on vacation and all these old people were holding hands with each other. 80 years old, 90 years old. And some of them, when they get married, 80 years old, 90 years old. Life begins at 80. So this is all due to the degraded propaganda of Kali Yuga. Or as I remember, this is 20 years ago when I was in Finland. I was in Denmark. And I saw in the headline of a newspaper that now Sweden has surpassed the final barrier, the final limitation. A father has married his That was 20 years ago. That's, that's old-fashioned now. They've advanced far beyond that. Now it's, Fifi, my dog, I love you. You're so cute. Let me hold your paw. Anyhow, we have to learn how to relate to the devotees, to Krishna, to the devotees, to the non-devotees. So that's what we're trying to become submissive, hearing about, the perfection of relationships. And then when we perfect our loving relationships, then we become qualified to enter into the spiritual world, where there's nothing except relationships going on, loving relationships. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Anyhow, it's late, so let's stop there. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Prahladananda Swami Maharaj ki jai. Here Maharaj will stay. Someone? No.
Не, ну он не сидит облокачившись, он сидит всегда так. Да, вообще, прям интересно. Да, да, он не всегда рассказывает, да, но сегодня прям так.
Это можно две, а это можно с той стороны. Спала в самый ответственный момент.
Сейчас мы, давайте вот это я тоже сюда, сейчас как раз. Да, оно как вообще держится. Не, ну, это уже сюда. Да, как-то нету скотча или что, да, можно было сюда. А там есть это, да. Ой, это есть. Сейчас, да, девушка, да, сначала.
So you ate everything.
Yeah.
But for Yasa-san, you use these flowers.
Ah.
So for what?
Yeah.
They are 5. Cool.
Ага. О, данки. Я. Не покладываю. Я надеюсь, ничего не упадет. Не, хорошо. Так. Просто сюда вот так? Да, только так чуть-чуть сюда. Ага, больше в эту сторону. Хорошо, конечно, но очень
You can put here.
What time should I finish my session?
Well, 11:20 should start.
11:20, okay.
Yes. Here, I'm ready.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Am nevoie de telecomandă.
Just leave me, please. Or you will be in camera today.
So leave the table and here, but I think for sweeping the floor, I clean the table and
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.
like after I need to do this playing, so I'm not
Hare Rama.
fine because okay, no problem. Yeah. Sorry. Wait. Yeah, sing something. Please sing something, and I will tell you.
We should try together.
Hare Krishna,
It's fine.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Yeah, it's perfect.
Hare Rama.
One here and one on the other side, and one on each ikebana.
Did I get anything for us? Are you okay? Anything you need help with?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Maybe I will need some tape, but yeah, but I don't know.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Do you know where we can get tape?
Okay, I think better after, because then you're relaxed and you can. I think Bruno might change. So where's the other scissors? But then I will bring something to swipe. Don't worry, this in the floor or away.
Let's say this is like
Expensive, yeah.
this is like
We need another mic here.
Yeah.
We need another mic here where the devotees will be there.